What's up, guys? Dang. We need to talk. Why don't you guys grab a chair and get comfortable? There was about 7 months ago, I got a phone call from an individual on the East Coast, and this person was a student of Jiu-Jitsu. Actually, as he told it to me, he was a student of one of the affiliates of a family member of ours, and
isn't everybody, right?
Yeah, true.
An affiliate of an affiliate of an affiliate.
And this
Great.
guy is training Jiu-Jitsu, and he says, guys, you know, I got into a fight. And I guess it was the week before he talked to me, he got into a street fight. He was out he's out hanging out with his friends on a town, and the guy said he got into a fight, and during the fight I ended up in the bottom of the guard, and I was getting punched in the face badly. And the fight got broken up. So fortunately he was cool, it wasn't that big a deal. But the reason for the call was, he said, I just recently saw the Gracie Combatives, and in there I saw this punch block series, how to defend punches from the bottom of the guard. And I've never learned that.
Was he a purple belt or a brown
And
belt?
I'm a purple belt.
Purple belt. So that's at least 4 or 5 years.
Yes. Now the thing is, he didn't come this gentle in the conversation. It was a little more like,
What's wrong with you, Henner? Why didn't you somehow expose me to the punch block series earlier?
because he was training with an affiliate of the family, of one of the members of our family, the huge family, he almost felt like, man, why didn't I learn this? And what the tone was, why haven't I seen this ever in my jiu-jitsu career? And our friends, this is huge concern to us, because I'm sure he's not the only one who is a little bit confused maybe by what he or she is learning, and in a situation like this where it actually surfaces in a real street fight self-defense situation, you know, he's disappointed in the art, you know? So we're here to talk about the differences that are existing between street jiu-jitsu and sport jiu-jitsu. And I think we begin with it with a very clear understanding that jiu-jitsu, as practiced by the Gracie family, as practiced by, you know, people all over the world, and as brought from Brazil to America, this jiu-jitsu that we've all fallen in love with, it exists as both the most effective form of street self-defense and an incredibly fun sport. And it is both.
We play both all day.
Practice both. We teach both here at the Gracie Academy. And the confusion is that a lot of places don't. And we're very concerned that people aren't necessarily getting what they're looking for at a lot of jiu-jitsu schools.
Because most people watched Royce fight in the first UFC in the beginning, and they thought, you know what? I want to do what that little guy's doing. So they search jiu-jitsu, Gracie, whatever, and then they go to a school, and naturally the school owner says, yes, in here we do the exact same thing as Royce. Come learn.
Right, but a lot of schools don't do that. They don't offer the street self-defense aspect of jiu-jitsu. Now, some of you guys out there are confused because they're thinking, well, I'm grappling, I'm doing arm locks or chokes. Isn't it all the same thing?
Because Royce did arm locks and chokes when he fought.
There are a lot of misconceptions about what the differences are between street and sport jiu-jitsu. And man, you know, our father and Royce, you know, 15 or 20 years ago, released a self-defense instructional DVD series entitled Street Self-Defense, was the name of this series of VHS at the time, now DVDs. And on this series, they show headlock defenses, collar grabs, weapon defenses, bear hug from the front, bear hug from the back, a lot of standing self-defense techniques. So I think that those kind of cause a lot of people to think that that is street jiu-jitsu. And that's a little misleading, because that is one aspect of it, knowing how to defend against all these standing holds, but there's certainly so much more to it, and that's that other aspect of the other differences are the ones that we don't think people are fully aware of.
So as much as there is standing, understanding of street techniques, there is side mount,
there's ground,
street understanding, there's mount. Every position that you can think of, there is a street
Right.
awareness to have.
It's so different, you guys, and the main thing is to understand that the the difference between street and sport is the distance at which the fight is fought. The distance. I mean, the simplest example is in a sport jiu-jitsu match. You come up, you shake hands, when you're standing up, you guys grab a hold of each other, and you go, and you're looking for your perfect little grip for the takedown. My friends, in a street fight, while you're fighting that grip, your head is their punching bag. You can't do that. And I think you guys know this, but you don't really know how this, what the difference is between that and a real fight. And the answer is standing up in a real fight. You have to have so much understanding of the distance between you and the attacker, either too far or too close. In a fight, in a real fight, he who manages the distance manages the damage that can be done. So if you're not a distance management master, you're missing out big time. Another very simple example. Let's say I'm side-mounted on Hito here. In a sport jiu-jitsu match, his goal is hide his arms from arm locks and chokes, protect his neck. So be tight. He's real tight with the hands. The problem is, in a street fight, I can sit up and rain down elbows on his face and punch his face and knee him in the head. And if he has tight hands, that's not going to do much for him because he's not managing the distance. I am. I have control of the distance. So what's interesting is the perfect, I guess, safe hand positioning for a sport jiu-jitsu match is perfectly wrong in a street fight.
And these are the same hands that would most likely be wanting to push you away and get you off of me instead of, and which means what? If I'm pushing you away,
right,
I'm creating your distance.
Right.
I'm very impatient, very uncomfortable on my back, sportive mindset, trying to get up and get out.
Yeah, so in a street fight, instead of being here, he would instead want to be here.
And there is no hurry to escape. I don't have to get out of here. Right. All I have to do is not get beat up.
I can't punch him in the face. I can't headbutt him. I can't punch him in the stomach. And when I try, I give him the space to escape. If he manages the distance properly, he's not in danger. You guys, what did you notice? What was correct in the sportive setting and what was correct in the street fight were exact opposites.
You could say that, they don't get it. Well, let's explain it again.
So major.
You could say that jiu-jitsu is very different from karate. Like a whole different art.
Very different. Completely different.
You know what they say at Gracie, Miami? They say that street jiu-jitsu, self-defense jiu-jitsu, is a completely different art from sportive jiu-jitsu. Right. That's how different they are. They're as different as
ping pong and bowling.
Yes.
They're completely different.
Even more different. Those are still two balls. You
know? Okay, what would you say then?
I don't even know.
Dang.
But just a whole different ball game.
Ball. See, there's two ball games, it's still the same. You guys, the moral of the story is this. It's completely different. If you have in your head, oh, I trained jiu-jitsu sport for 4 years, so I'm street ready. You're delusional.
Well, they're not saying I trained jiu-jitsu sport. They're just saying I trained jiu-jitsu.
Right, so therefore I can defend myself in a street fight effectively.
They're going to now start to analyze whether they're learning self-defense for a street fight or they're competing in tournaments.
Right.
Now they're wondering why their instructor doesn't teach them what you just talked about right now.
What's interesting is that people in the Gracie family for sure know this. Every Gracie family member knows this because they were brought up so close to the nucleus and the core of this information that they learned the street effective version. But as you kind of work down from one Gracie family to an affiliate, to their student, to their disciple, and you climb down the ladder there in terms of different tiers of instructorship, man, it's possible that the information didn't get passed along. Mm-hmm. That's one possibility. Another possibility is that it did get passed along, but the instructor chooses, even though they know the street applicable variations and techniques and principles of the art, they choose not to teach it.
Maybe that instructor is trying to create a tournament school. A school that is very recognized for having the most medals in the most tournaments. Yeah. And spending time doing street jiu-jitsu is not spending time doing sportive point scoring
so
jiu-jitsu.
Different. So if there's a tournament 6 months from now, someone who wants to win that tournament, they have to sacrifice all street training time. Why block a punch? There's no punch in the tournament. There's no time limit in the street. There's a time limit in the tournament, so let's practice time limit, let's practice weight classes, let's practice points, let's practice no punches for 6 months every day, kill it, so our guys can win that gold medal and bring more students to the school. So a lot of schools, to build their reputation, they essentially dedicate it all to the sport training. And You know, there's nothing wrong with it. The sport is good. There's exercise, there's benefits, there's camaraderie, there's, you know, good training, there's good physical discipline, mental discipline, all of that. But as our friend on the East Coast found out the hard way, it's possible that you do 4 or 5 years of this and then get your face punched in a real fight. You guys, the sport is great. We practice it. We learn. Sport is anytime we practice and grapple with each other without throwing punches, and we're just doing all dynamic, crazy techniques. It's incredibly fun. It's like chess of the mind and the body. All we're hoping is that you guys develop or have a switch. Show them where my switch is.
Right here in the middle. He can't reach it. I have to switch it for him.
It's very safe because if I switch it on, it might get out of control. You have to have a switch that you can activate and just say, hey, this is street self-defense. I can close the distance, take this fight to the ground, and deal with these response and attack behaviors from a real street fight opponent that wouldn't exist in a sport, or vice versa. Switch the other way as well. But if you don't have that switch, you don't have the option. And if you don't have the option, guess what? You might find out too late that what you were learning doesn't transfer directly to a street fight. Now, are there reflex, arm lock, submission, and control benefits to sportive grappling that might be transferable? Yes. But the most important part of jiu-jitsu for street does not exist in sport, and that's distance management from every position.
So what does it take? How do we learn this? Some of them are a little bit thinking like, you know what, I don't want to be fighting in punches.
Right.
Punches is a little tricky.
It's a little intimidating.
So how can they learn?
Just because you're learning how to fight doesn't mean you have to fight to learn.
Oh, okay.
So no one's getting hurt here at the Gracie Academy, and the demographic of our students is more broad than most academies, if not all, around the world because of the calm, safe, cooperative training environment. So to learn street, you don't need to be killing each other, number one. Number two, it's incredibly specific. And the number of techniques and principles you need for street survival are very, very few. 85 years, Gracie family fights all over the world, street fights, whatever. We've identified that even though there exist almost 1,000 techniques in jiu-jitsu, 36 have been used more than all the rest. So to become street ready, you don't need hundreds of techniques. You need about 36. And you're cool. And it doesn't take that long to learn either.
No.
To become proficient in the sportive realm, what does it take?
Hundreds and hundreds of techniques.
Years and years and years. Why? Because you're training for an ever-evolving and elusive and kind of intangible opponent, if that makes sense. Someone who's constantly, because the sport will always be evolving, which is a great thing for the sportive side, but there's always going to be counters to the counter to the counter. When we grapple, no street, just pure jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, it's incredible. The positions we get in and the things that happen, every time we train, there's a different thing.
I just invented a new move this morning.
But when we get in a fight, or when we train street, when one person's trying to hit the other person, and that's their primary goal.
I'm not going to use that move that I invented.
No, he's using street behaviors, and those are very specific. Someone who doesn't know jiu-jitsu has a very limited attack resources, even if they're much bigger than you. And you have to learn very specifically how to deal with those. And it doesn't take much. Now, it's incredible that the street preparation is such a specific task and objective, and the sport is such a broad, kind of ever-changing objective that we drew a diagram to help illustrate kind of how most people go about it. At 99% of schools, this is the approach they take to jiu-jitsu. They start with this is all sport training, and this is what it takes to become street proficient. Very tight core. Hundreds of techniques down here, and they start with all of those, randomly going through all of them until hopefully some of them stick and they become proficient, and you climb this ladder and months and months and months go by. And maybe, some schools, very few, before you get your black belt, you begin learning some street applicable techniques, right? As your black belt test, you got to learn some self-defense. That's how most schools go about it.
In self-defense, most likely they just mean
a couple
standing headlock,
some knife defense,
club
defense. The stuff that we were talking about that's on our dad's videos, DVDs, that is the very limited aspect of the whole fight. So that's if they do it. Okay, great. That's the journey right here. You guys, what's wrong with this picture? When they walk in the door of a school, hi, I'd like to take my first class.
I watch the UFC.
Yeah, I want to learn Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Street. I want to become effective for self-defense, confidence, protect my family. The instructor says, yes, great, join us. And they spend 4 years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years learning this, and they get in a fight at that point. They might get beat up very well. They don't have the resources. It's okay. It's just a reality. Here's our philosophy. Walk in the dojo right there. Closer to the red. You guys, welcome to the Gracie Academy.
This is the Gracie Academy.
And yeah, this is how we represent here in all certified training centers. This is our approach. It just makes sense. This is how you should learn first. All training efforts are dedicated 100% to street preparation from the very beginning until when? Until you're street ready. Which for us is at the blue belt mark. Our blue belt, the promotion of a blue belt indicates street readiness. You've perfected Gracie combatives. And then you can learn whatever else you want. Enjoy the sport, play chess, play ping pong, do whatever you want. Learn it all, have fun. After, first things first though, is our approach. And the driving force behind this concept is this. Life gets in the way. Life gets in the way. People train, people have families, people have jobs, things happen. If you're training here and 6 months into your career you have to quit, life gets in the way. Who knows why? You shouldn't, but you have to. At least you won't get beat up. And we've had students, my friends, who have, after earning blue belt, never trained again. And they call us 6 months later saying, hey, remember the guy? Road rage, boom, they stop the cars, the bad guy gets out of the car, the guy was acting real crazy, our student gets out, much smaller, glasses, puts his glasses down, the guy approaches, crazy, our student clinches, body full takedown, mount, rollover, pressure, rear naked choke. Close the deal.
I think he was a little bit surprised.
The bad guy
how
was
natural
shocked.
it was.
No,
even our student.
Oh, he didn't believe it would be so natural.
Oh.
He had never experienced that before.
Once it started, it just took over.
Yeah, because that's what his body just learned. It was his, what did you say, what's your line?
It's the default. We know that the first thing that you learn is the hardest to forget.
So
he was able to fall back to these right here.
Well, he was only blue belt, so he was only about right here, so that was his natural. But even a student who trains with us for several years, like he don't say, when they forget everything, at least they go back to their default survival street techniques.
And what happens is when you know these right here, you already start to look at all of these through the eyes of someone who's thinking street. So any technique that's very sportive, as you're doing it, you're telling yourself, okay, right now, I could be punched in the face. Let me see if I put my head a little closer to their chest, if it will, modify it and make me more safe. And yes, now I'm a little more safe. So you already have a whole different set of goggles on, which is very good.
Yeah, it's almost like a filter for everything you know. And that's exactly, the 36 Gracie combatives for me, techniques, man, no matter what I'm training, no matter what I'm doing, if I have to forget everything I know, I want to know those. And yes, certainly every principle and every position of threat for a real street fight is covered there, so it's very all-encompassing. That's our concern, our friends. Someone starts here, they train for 6 months, and they quit. What are they left with? A lot of fun techniques, a lot of fitness, a lot of friends, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of gold medals, but not a lot of guarantee. That's our concern. Is that people are aware that there is a difference, number one, incredible difference. It doesn't take much to become street ready. And the reason it's not being done in most schools is because it's not a priority for the next tournament coming up in 6 months. And as long as that's a priority, guess what you're going to do? Sacrifice all training time for training objectives that will help you prevail in that setting. Why learn how to defend against punches if the tournaments don't ask you to? There's no need. Cancel it. But like Hidon said, if we focus on that training mindset here at the academy or any of our schools, the problem would be we're not giving people what they walked in for. People walk in the front doors because they saw what Gracie Jiu-Jitsu can do against a larger threat, a much bigger opponent. But it has to be trained a certain way for that idea and for that truth to become a reality, in a real street fight for each of our students.
And when they walk in, they can learn one sportive technique and still be blown away.
Right.
Like, yes, I'm in. This is great. That was so beautiful.
It's all fascinating no matter what.
My partner tapped out. It was a great submission right there, but it has no applicability in a street fight.
So, we shoot this video here, we explain these ideas, not so much to shoot anyone down, but to bring everyone up to par in terms of an understanding that, hey, what am I learning? Ask the right questions. When was the last time you're learning how to defend punches from the guard, or how to close the distance, or how to take down someone who's trying to punch you versus a sportive situation? Ask yourself these questions, and man, hopefully you're getting this type of training, and hopefully you're getting it early. But if you're not, start to explore how you can, and that was really one of the major motivations for Hidon and myself in developing and creating Gracie University. Was we thought, man, if we could just put our entire curriculum online, every single technique we know, just upload it to the internet, and then you guys download it into your brains. If we could do that, we would be doing a great service, because we would give this type of direct street beginning and then branched approach to jiu-jitsu that isn't common at most other schools or organizations. And as a result, now we have thousands of people who are students at sports schools and having fun, and it's all good, but they're also accessing the Gracie Academy curriculum with a street self-defense, street survival emphasis in the beginning, which ensures that they have it all. So that's our only concern. Have fun, get all the other benefits, but most importantly, learn how to defend yourself. Be able to look at someone who outweighs you by 50 to 100 pounds and think, man, no problem. That's the ultimate benefit, guys. That's why he don't smile so much.
Next time you're sparring with one of your training partners, start to kind of go like this and like,
no, they're gonna be like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't hit them, but fake to the body and just tap. And
even the fake, they're like, hey, that's not allowed, that's not allowed.
Correct, but just see how they react to that. If they start to block the punches and control your neck, or if they kind of freeze up, or they just continue on this technique, which is keeping their face exposed.
Right.
And then even you yourself, just think, you know what, if they just switched from this focus to wanting to knock me out right now, what would I do?
Right.
And if you have the answer, then go thank your instructor. Go give him a hug. And if you don't have the answer, then stop and even think if you've been learning anything over the last few years that could help you.
Yeah, and there's so many benefits to the sportive aspect that it gets confusing, because you really, you're so enthralled by all that it has to offer that you kind of forget the one thing that it's not offering. You guys, jiu-jitsu, the way we practice it and the way the world has come to know it, exists as both an incredibly fun and engaging sport and the most effective form of street self-defense against larger opponents. It is our concern and our objective that you get both, because if not, you're robbing yourself of the greatest benefit and the confidence and everything that is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. It's incredible art. So let us know if you have any questions. Thank you, guys.